Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about 4 blade rackets that are available in Wilson's product line. As you know, blades are mostly focused on control aspect of the game, thus they are rather more flexible, but there's a large variety of string patterns offered within Wilson's product line, so we are going to talk about those rackets. Okay, let me present you quickly the rackets that I have here. I have blade 18 by 20, I have blade 16 by 19, I have the blade 98S which offers 18 by 16 string pattern, and then Serena Williams racket which actually offers, let me check that, the string pattern is actually 18 by 19 on this one. So we have a rather large variety of string patterns here. Okay, let me tell you more about my history with blade. I actually played with 18 by 20 about 2 years ago for at least half a year. So I spent some time on it. It was not powerful enough for me. Then I switched to radically different rackets, and that's when I actually started to play test Mania rackets. That's why I know the blade line, I appreciate the blade line, and I think blade line is something that every tennis player above 3.5 should demo, so that when we are talking about how a tennis racket feels, we make references to blade lines, because this is a particular feel, and pro staff. I mean, if you are looking for a new racket, you gotta check pro staff and blade lines from Wilson so that you know what to add, what to do next. Say you're looking for more spin, you're looking for more power. Unless you can tweak those things with playing with the string setup, you can go ahead and build on this experience, because anyone who's giving you advice would ask for which racket do you know, which racket did you play with. And Blade and Pro Stuff series are actually signature series of Wilson, so go ahead and demo these racket. Again, my favorite was, let's start with the most dense pattern, which is 18 by 20. This racket is actually a pure control racket in my opinion. You need to be able to generate your own power. Now I'm looking at my computer and the frame stiffness is actually 65. I think blades had been less stiff than this before, but 65 is rather decent for this racket, and with the dense string pattern you actually lose from some of the spin potential, but the control that it offers is amazing. Like, slices are really crisp, you get the best feeling, but sometimes you land short on the court. Apart from that, this racket is actually 320 grams, but the swing weight is 328, which is decent for a player's racket. Some people prefer to beef this up, but I think in stock form, if you are actually a good player who can generate his or her own pace, this racket is rather fine. So let's talk about the next racket I have here, Blade 98 16 by 19 string pattern. Well, a little more open string pattern actually gives you better access to spin, and of course it also provides more power given that they have the same strings at the same tensions. So the advantages of this racket is actually being similar to the original Blade 18 by 20, but offering a more open string pattern, which boosts the power and the spin potential aspect of this racket. I don't know if I can go ahead and actually call this one my favorite blade so far. So I am a recreational player and I need this extra power from time to time, especially when I'm playing with a blade racket. I don't have that necessity when I'm playing with a pure drive or a pure arrow or anything with that, you know, any frame which offers more power than this. But when it comes to blades, I think I lean towards more open string pattern. And this racket is also a little bit stiffer than the 18 by 20. This is actually 66 is the flex rating of this racket, but it feels really similar. I mean, that 1 point of flex rating calculation could even be a mistake. So I think this racket is the shining star of the blade line, but we have another interesting racket here. So here I have the Blade 98S. The S pattern is the spin effect technology that was introduced by Wilson a couple of years ago. It's kind of still there in the product line, but I think it didn't catch up to the hype that it initially generated. So this racket is actually a little lighter. It's about 315 grams, which is 5 grams lighter than both of the previous blades that we talked about. The stiffness is closer to 965, which is similar to 18 by 20, but it makes sense because the string pattern on this one is actually 18 by 16, so it's even less dense than the 16 by 19 string pattern on the second blade we talked about. That's why you need that extra flex rating so that it gets more controllable. And of course, as with less dense string patterns, it offers less control and more power and better ball bite, so that also helps with the spin. The spin is generated by two factors: how grippy the racket is, so from ball to string friction, and the friction of the strings on one another, so string to string and the string to ball friction is main determinant of spin, and this open string pattern helps on both aspects of it. What else can I say about this racket? I mean, it might even be the most powerful blade on this line. And yeah, this is the most powerful of the three actually, because I was confused if actually 104 is more powerful. I think 104 is more powerful, so I would say this is the second most powerful blade on the current blade line. I enjoyed this racket very much, and it holds the string tension better, which is actually atypical. Well, you know what? More open the string pattern is, it gets more difficult to hold the string tension, but with this one, I didn't feel such a problem. Before, I used Pro Staff 95S, which was 16 by 15, of course, a lot more radically open string pattern than this one, but that racket was eating up strings. So I was losing control, and I unfortunately like higher string tension, thus loss of tension directly affects my game. I like the feedback that I get from the strings very much, especially when the strings are freshly strung. Okay, so let's talk about the last racket that I have here with me today. This is Blade 104 Serena Williams Autograph Edition. As you see, the paint job is similar on both three of these rackets. There is this full black version now of one of the blades, but still, Blade's new color is actually black and green. Blades used to be full black and white, but this new outlook is rather nice. I don't know if it's as durable as the previous paint job, but I like the looks of it. So, the Serena Williams edition. I mean, I think Serena Williams is the greatest of all time in women's tennis, and she deserves more customized racket than this one. This looks like a regular blade. I mean, from distance it's impossible to distinguish, and she only gets a couple of minor customization details. There's this signature here, and the blade printing on this side of the racket is actually on gold letters. But again, it's a very subtle touch. Like in Roger Federer's edition, for example, the racket was painted black. There was his signature and his face on the racket. I think Serena deserves better racket than this one, but let's talk about how it plays. This is actually the heaviest of the bunch, 323 grams. That 3 grams is not much, but then the swing weight is beefy 341 grams. So the swing weight of this thing, and I think I forgot the most important thing, this racket is actually 27.5 inch long, so there's half an inch extra here. Let me show you this much, but it adds up because it's basic physics. If you have a longer arm, then you generate more power. I understand why this racket is actually endorsed by Serena Williams. It suits to her powerful style. This extra half an inch actually amplifies your power on serves. I think the rackets reflected what they should reflect on paper, but this racket with the heavier swing weight, it felt more stable obviously, but it was a little more difficult for me to swing. I felt the lag, so I think 340 is a bit too much for me, at least with a plus size racket. With RF98 Autograph, I didn't feel that much of an issue initially when I played, but with this racket, I felt the lag a bit. But it depends on your game style. If you would like to have a powerful game, or if you would like to demo this racket just to see how it feels like, go ahead and do that, because it's not a bad racket, but it's not a racket that I would actually keep in my bag. That's why I am not interested in keeping this. It is time to reveal my favorite racket, and my favorite blade for now is the 16x19 string pattern. Because why do I prefer this? I think I'm not good enough to play with 18x20 string pattern, at least not yet, because I am not good at my weight transfer, my uprushing motion, so my swing may be the issue there, but still I prefer a little less dense, more open string pattern on my blade. I mean, the name is also cool, right? It's called a blade, like a ninja. Thanks for watching this video. See you next time. Maybe something better, and we would meet somewhere on a tennis court. Take great care of yourselves until then. Thank you.